Love and blessings, peace and prosperity, divine, beautiful soul. What is good in your world? It's me, Nicole P, your spiritual barista, serving you up wisdom, guidance, and inspiration from the cards. I'm about to share with you the messages that came to me this morning in my tarot journaling ritual, and it came from none other than the Hermit card. Cosmic connection is to Mercury. The Hermit card is the major arcana embodiment of Virgo, and let me tell you, this is good. This is some really good stuff. So I need you to take a deep breath in and release, move your shoulders around, and being open to receive. Now, before I start getting into the brew, let me take a sip of my cafecito. That's some good stuff. I'm drinking Equal Exchange, and it's like a morning blend. It's really good. It's strong, so you only need a little bit. Like, the bag is $12, but it's good. It's organic, it's fair trade, and a little bit goes a long way. Okay, enough about my cafecito. Let's talk about the Hermit card. You've seen this before, right? The Hermit. So, as I said, this is the major arcana embodiment of Virgo. Now let's tap into Virgo energy for just a moment. Planetary ruler is Mercury, and although Mercury is like a speed fast communicator, like lightning kind of bolts of inspiration and ideas and short travels and technologies, the Hermit, actually, that Mercury energy, once it comes into the element of the Hermit, it slows down just a little bit. The earth energy, it's a mutable earth energy of Virgo, tends to slow down the speed of Mercury. And Mercury vibes with it. Mercury's like, okay, I needed to slow down a little bit. And because there's the Mercury connection as the planetary ruler, we do have some elements of the Magician. They're more like secondary elements, like trickle effects elements that have an impact on the Hermit card or Hermit energy. So the one thing about Virgos in general, right? Of course, different personalities and life experiences always have an impact and effect on a particular sign. They're brilliant. Like, every sign has its brilliance, right? Just like every sign is a manifester, every sign is miraculous and magical. But there's this way that Virgos have to systematize, to organize, compartmentalize, digest and understand data and reveal it back out in a way. Sometimes it's understandable, sometimes it kind of goes up over your head, but they have this brilliance of being able to go within and really make sense and make meaning internally in their internal world. And so the Hermit card comes to you. What came to me this morning is coming to you right now as you're watching this video for two things. Number one, this is a call for you to be very intentional about carving out space in your life to be still, to allow yourself the space and the grace to reflect, to digest, to metabolize, and to integrate your learnings and life experiences in general. Now, life tends to move very fast, right? And I know that depending on what's going on in your life, you may have a lot of responsibilities and things to take care of for, right? I get that. This is no way at all to say that, it's a lush living where there's nothing that's pulling at your consciousness and there's not any list or anything like that, right? I understand that. And especially these days and times that we live in, there's so much madness, there's so much going on. And regardless of what you have on your plate, the call is for you to take initiative and to take the power and say, I am choosing to have a devotional practice where I am not not accountable to anybody but myself. I'm not accountable to anybody. I don't have to do a task. I don't have to do anything but just be. The call for you is to be intentional with your time and make time to just be still and be present to your heart, your body, your soul, your feels. And so listen, it looks a lot like withdrawal in some ways. It's tapping out in some ways, responsibly, of course, right? But tapping out and saying, I need this time. I need to really figure out what is going on in my life. What has been going on? Like, who am I becoming? What are all these feels that I have? And if you're on a journey of learning, like you've been doing a lot of research, maybe you've been taking a lot of courses, maybe your spiritual journey is delving deeper into different practices or deepening your practice with tarot or whatever it may be, taking that time not to study per se, but reflection and allowing it to flow. Sometimes that may mean creatively, so putting on some music, right? Lighting some incense, dancing, writing, actually like poetry or free form writing, movement in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes this means carving out the space in silence and sitting, meditating, not trying to figure anything out, but just being, like hearing your breath, feeling your body. Now, it's wonderful if you have the capacity to say, I'm taking a weekend all by myself and going up in the woods. Of course, not everybody has that luxury, not only for time, but also money. And life is life, right? Especially if you have kids, you have different jobs. Maybe you have a job and you have a business. Maybe you have a job and you're going back to school. Maybe you're caring for an elderly parent. Maybe you're involved in a lot of community initiatives, whatever it may be. So often I think people hold off and they wait till let me wait till I have the full weekend by myself. Let me wait till I have a full day by myself. I'm going to put this off. I'm going to put it off until I have all of this time just for me. And the thing is, if you keep on waiting, that time may never come. So the idea is to carve out, be intentional, whether that be in daily practice, semi-daily practice, or weekly practices. Maybe it's 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. Maybe it's 1 hour, one time, 2 times a day, in combination with those mini micro doses of hermit energy, of being in stillness, of meditation, of movement. Maybe you do a walking meditation. Maybe you go to the gym and lift weights, but it's a meditative sort of space because you're connecting with your wisdom. You're connecting with the experiences. You're connecting with your feels, and you're allowing it to move through your body and to integrate. This is the call. That's the call of the hermit. And now, when we tap out and we take time to isolate in some way, shape, or form, it's conscious. It's intentional. There's not an outcome attached to it. So you're not doing it in order to get more of X, Y, and Z. You're not doing it as something you're going to check off the list. It's a way of being able to be most like in communion with your wisdom, in communion with your experiences in life, in communion with your soul, and in communion with ancestors and with spirits, with guides. So however it is that you can and commit to and do so, like carve out that time, the devotional practices, you got to commit to it. Right? I always say this, and I know people are busy, and that's why I really want to have that caveat, because it's very easy to be like, oh, someone's going to go to a retreat in some other place, and those things are all nice, but a lot of people do not have the luxury to be able to do that, right? For whatever reason. And the importance of being able to incorporate this into a regular ritual, right, in life. But here is the thing, is there's ways that we can do this each and every day or every other day into our lives. We have to take the time to breathe, to be in communion, to integrate life, integrate our knowledge. By doing so, we tune in to our internal wisdom, our internal compasses, and we are able to hear the call, the whispers of guides, of ancestors, of the cosmos, and of the underworld. It's essential to do so. Especially in a day and time when we're inundated with information, we're inundated with other people's lives and information, and we're just inundated with a lot of shit. To be able to say, wait a minute, because we're not meant to really be so inundated. So finding the ways in your life that make sense, that works, to incorporate elements of the hermit is so vital and important for your practice, for your spiritual practice, for your intellectual practices, for your business, for whatever it is, your career, even just for existing as a parent, as a friend, as a lover, as a partner. You get to learn so much of yourself. To be able to be in stillness and be one with yourself is an act of pure bliss. And it may be uncomfortable at first. People talk to me when I'm with clients. A lot of times people say, I can't meditate. And I say, why you can't meditate? And they say, because, I start thinking about my list. I start thinking about things, blah, 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 like that. And I said, okay, that's okay. The point of meditation isn't to get rid of all of that. It's rather to be in communion and hear, okay, these are the thoughts that are coming up. Let me take a breath and let me put them aside. It's not to dismiss. It's actually to be able to be one with your thoughts, to be one with your body. That's the hermit energy. Now, here's the other piece of it, okay? You're not tapping out. You're not isolating consciously just because you had enough and you don't want to be bothered with anybody. Sometimes it gets to that point. I bet you, especially if any parents out there, especially single parents, you're like, I just need some space to myself, right? But you always tap back in, right? Sometimes you get that tap out and you come back, you tap out and you tap back in, right? That's also the message. That's the other part of the hermit. The hermit takes time to integrate. They go on top of the mountain so they can see things clearly. That's the thing too, because right when you're in life, it's hard to see this stuff. It's hard to see this stuff, right? But when you get up and you're elevated and you're like, oh my God, what do they call that? The bird's eye view. Once you have that bird's eye view, you're like, aha, things start to make sense. And then you're like, wow, and just everything starts flowing. Then what happens, the other piece of the hermit is this. Once you've had that time, once you've had that space, you're like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much. I want to share so much. The hermit doesn't stay up on top of the mountain just to be like, forget everybody else, deuces, I don't want to be bothered. The hermit eventually comes out, emerges out of their cave, out of their sanctuary with the lantern in hand, saying, come on up. I'm ready. I've had my space. Come on up. I can't wait to be in communion with you. I can't wait to share with you all that I've learned, all the downloads and the things that have happened. So that other part of the hermit is to remember that you have so much to share. You have so much story to tell. There's so much from your own personal lived experiences that you can offer others. That's your expertise. And other people are so craving and so ready to hear the stories. Why do you think social media, in many ways, especially TikTok, has become so popular? Because you get to see other people's lived experiences. And they say, oh my gosh, I get it now. You learn. And I know there's toxic stuff about TikTok and social media. I get it. But the whole thing is, as humans, right, we're meant to be in community. We're meant to be connected with one another. And we're meant to be learning through stories. Okay? So there's both. Just like there's a sun and the moon. There's time to be actually moon energy, right? To go within, right? To have some hibernation, right? To tap out for a little bit. And then you're like, okay, I'm ready to emerge once again. And there's that sun energy where you're light and you're bright and you're sharing and you're spreading the love and the wisdom, all that has come forth in the moments of the hermit. Right? In the moments of the hermit. It's a way as well to fill your own cup. To not only get rest and respite, but to really be like, aha, I get it. Now, one of the ways that I like to relax sometimes is Netflix and chill. Netflix and chill is bomb. I love it. I don't feel like that's hermit. That's like a Four of Swords energy. Hermit is something where you're not that hermit energy. You're not watching TV. You're not on your social media. So it's not like searching. You may be learning something. You maybe take a poetry book or some sort of book, some sort of research, but it's not about to learn. It's not activated in a way where you're engaged. It's rather you're just in being, right? It's in being. So it's not that where I watch something and I'm seeing what's happening. I'm wondering what's going to be happening next. Oh, I don't like that character. It's not that, because you're not engaged that way. You're engaged more in what's going on from the inside, and you're able to hear spirit, and it's a totally different experience because your senses are coming from within, right? And just right there, it's not distraction of anything else. So my love, in this week coming up, or even in this month, tune in, ask, what is the hermit inviting you to do? How can you open up to hermit energy in your life? The other thing about the hermit is that the hermit asks you to be devotional with your learning and with your growth. And I say this because so often people go to a class, they get a certificate, and they claim they're this thing, especially in spirituality, right? I went for a weekend, I'm a shaman now. And so much of these practices and so many ways of being, it takes time to get deeper into your own practice. It takes time to develop your own skills and with so much, right? So many. That was just one example. So allowing yourself the time, you don't have to be an expert. You're an expert in your own life. You're expert in your own wisdom, and just be chill with that, right? There's no striving. There's no like, I got to get this. I got to claim this. Just be and allow all the wisdom to surface and come out, and allow yourself the time to be like, what just happened? What's going on with the madness in the world? And how do I be? How do I feel? How do I interpret all of this? What does this mean to me? And that, my love, is the Hermit. It's very sacred. It's a sacred card. It's sacred energy. And like I said, it's something that's continuously in our lives. It's an invitation that's always there. And you got to find ways, and you got to take the responsibility, take charge of it. You got to find ways that you can do it in your life, because nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do it for you. So my love, that's the Hermit. That's the energy for this week ahead. And I hope this video has served you in some way, shape, or form. And that's all I got to say. Mad love to you. And may you find with ease and commitment and devotion practices that honor that Hermit energy within you. Thanks for tuning in. Mad love.